Hi everyone! Welcome to another adventure. In our last video, we challenged ourselves to a 1,000-mile motorcycle ride from southwest Oklahoma to Nevada. If you didn't see that, I will post it in the description if you want to go back and check that out. If you did see our last video, then you know that we stopped for a night at a wonderful Airbnb located in Boulder City, Nevada. In this video, we will be exploring Lake Mead, the Hoover Dam, and Vegas, including the Vegas Strip and Fremont Street. We started out the day by finding breakfast. With a quick Google search, we were pointed towards the Coffee Cup Cafe in the small downtown area of Boulder City. The Google reviews did not lie about this little cafe. This place had some amazing food. Or maybe this is because it was our first meal in 24 hours. Even some of the locals that we talked to later in the day recommended it to us, and were excited to hear that we had already been there. When we parked to go eat at the Coffee Cup Cafe, I spotted this little statue. It reads, "When the government built Boulder City, it didn't plan for children, but as the Depression drove workers into southern Nevada to build Hoover Dam, workers brought their families with them. The new town and surrounding desert provided an excellent playground for the children, who biked the hills, caught lizards and snakes, or built dams in their sandy backyards. On Saturday afternoons, children rode their bikes on brand new sidewalks to the Boulder City Theater for a Three Stooges matinee, down to Del Mar's drugstore for a nickel Coke, or around the park under the newly planted trees." Reading this made me interested in the town's history and ties to the Hoover Dam, so this is what I was able to find out. Boulder City was founded solely for housing those who were workers on the Boulder Dam along the Colorado River from 1933 to 1947. As you may know, the Boulder Dam would later be renamed the Hoover Dam. The town was originally designed to house around 5,000 workers, with the workers' status at the dam reflecting in the size and location of their house. Boulder City is rare in the fact that it was planned under government supervision, which wouldn't be relinquished until 1959, and they were finally able to appoint their very first mayor, and the citizens could make changes within the town. During its government control, there were strict restrictions on who could live there, as well as what other structures could be built as well. If a person decided they wanted to open a business, they would have to be screened for character and financial stability before being approved. Because the city was built for single male workers, a school was not in the plans to be built. As more women and children followed their husbands to Boulder City, they would make do with a makeshift schoolroom until they won the right for a state-funded school to be built. There also wasn't a hospital, so an injured worker would have to travel 33 miles to Las Vegas. Even after a hospital was built, females were not allowed to be admitted for several years. It was under strict prohibition laws until 1969 and has a ban on gambling, which is still in place today. It is one of only 2 cities in Nevada that have such bans on gambling. Today, the Hoover Dam Lodge, which has a Boulder City address, is able to obtain a gambling permit because it is within the Lake Mead recreation area and not in city limits. Almost 15,000 people call this cute little town their home today. Everyone there was very nice. Even people in Las Vegas that we talked to only had good things to say about Boulder City. Most commented on how it was the perfect place to stay to get away from the chaos. We really enjoyed our time in Boulder City, and glad we chose to stay here and not in Vegas. So, if you're planning a trip, I would suggest staying here, and then taking an Uber to Vegas. absolutely love the look of these desert towns. Definitely some beautiful homes here nestled in the sandy hills. I'm enamored by all the desert fauna as well, especially the huge palm trees and cacti. Not something these Okies get to see very often. We are headed out of town towards Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. If you haven't figured it out, I am riding as a passenger today as we explore. This is a rarity, as I do not like being a passenger, hence why I ride my own motorcycle. However, the shots that I can get when I'm not driving are so much better. Y'all are worth a little discomfort once in a while. This area is part of the Mojave Desert, which is one of the hottest and driest places on the planet. Despite the hot, intense summers, the winters can be harsh with temperatures dropping below freezing. Due to these harsh conditions, the soils are rocky and not well suited for plant life. Plants tend to be small and spaced around. Most of the animals that live here are nocturnal and wait till night to find food. Adaptations made their life a little bit easier, enabling them to survive in these conditions. This is the casino that I mentioned earlier. Funny enough, we came all this way and never played a machine, neither here nor Vegas. I'm used to seeing a lot more green and plant life, but these mountains are still amazing and beautiful. The highway you see below is where we came in last night. It was too dark to see much at all at that time, but I thought we were surrounded by something as we drove through. We were definitely missing some wonderful sights, and I'm so glad that we got to explore more today. These power lines are coming from the Hoover Dam, which supply hydroelectric power to parts of Nevada, Arizona, and California. Lake Mead is a reservoir that was formed when the Hoover Dam was constructed, first filling with water on September 30th, 1935 from the Colorado River. It is the largest U.S. reservoir as far as volume of water, and is located in both Nevada and Arizona. Not only does it provide water to the surrounding states, it also offers recreation opportunities such as fishing, swimming, and boating. Ruins of the town's St. Thomas, Nevada can also be seen since 2022, when water levels reached an all-time low. This town was evacuated during the Hoover Dam construction, as water levels began to rise and eventually overtook it. Speaking of water levels, they have been on a steady downslope since 1983 due to drought and an increased demand for water usage. This is pretty evident by the color changes in the rocks around the lake due to mineral deposits on the surface that were once covered by water. Here's a bit of a riddle. What is bigger than a bread box and find its home at the bottom of Lake Mead? Any guesses? It's an airplane. In 1948, a modified Boeing B-29 Superfortress was testing a prototype missile guidance system over Lake Mead. With the glare of the sun reflecting off the lake, the pilot lost control and the plane steadily lost altitude until it struck the water. The 5-man crew managed to escape, with the worst injury being a broken arm. But the B-29, after catching fire, slowly sunk to the bottom where it remains today. 2 other small planes also make the bottom of the lake their resting place. Now on to the Hoover Dam. This first area we parked in had a short walking path to be able to walk across the Memorial Bridge and look down into the dam from the downriver side. It really is an impressive sight. We will be driving around the road and across the actual dam that you see below us, here in just a little while. If heights bother you, I would recommend looking away for this part. It isn't as unnerving on camera, but standing on the bridge and looking out was an experience for sure. Back in its beginning, a concrete structure of this magnitude had never been built before. The concrete arch gravity dam was still completed in record time and nearly 2 years earlier than projected. They first had to divert the Colorado River by making diversion tunnels in the canyon walls. 4 of these tunnels totaling over 3 miles were made, with 2 in Nevada and the other 2 in Arizona. It started with around 3,000 workers, which peaked at over 5,000 during construction. Before Boulder City could be completed, President Hoover ordered work to begin on the dam, so early workers lived in bunkhouses attached to the canyon walls. Work was hard in the extreme hot temperatures, as well as the use of unproven techniques that were especially dangerous. Over 100 lives were lost in its construction. The cost of construction was $49 million back in 1931, which is estimated to be around $790 million today. As for its name, many fought over what the dam should be called throughout its construction. Some referred to it as the Hoover Dam to stick with the tradition of naming dams after the president that oversaw their construction. However, the Roosevelt administration would try to name it the Boulder Dam for many years. Boulder Canyon Dam, or project, was also popular for a while. In the end, Congress voted in 1947 to restore the name of the Hoover Dam. Construction on the powerhouse would be the last bit to be completed. It started producing power in late 1936, with the first of the generators being turned on. By 1939, the Hoover Dam was the largest hydroelectric facility in the world, with a total of 17 generators. Unfortunately, the total electricity generated has been decreasing due to lower and lower water levels. In its original design, the dam couldn't produce power once water levels reached below 1,050 feet. This almost happened in 2017, but was probably saved by water conservation efforts. 5 wide-head turbines were installed. They were more efficient and better suited to the lower water levels, enabling the dam to still make power with levels below 950 feet. Power production has stabilized for now to these new turbines and increased efforts in water conservation. Since its completion, there have been a few changes to the dam. The Arizona and Nevada spillways were added to direct water around the dam in the event that Lake Mead exceeded its capacity. They can handle the flow of Niagara Falls if needed. The Memorial Bridge, the first area we walked out on, was added to give visitors a better view of the downstream end of the dam. The addition of the visitor center and observation deck allows visitors a deeper dive into the inner workings as well as exhibits and galleries to look through. The intake towers channel water into the turbines to produce electricity. This sign shows where each of these are located. The Hoover Dam was critical to World War II because of its ability to store water and produce electricity. Enemy forces knew this as well and plotted to take it out in hopes to weaken our forces. In 1939, a plot was uncovered and stopped that would have bombed the intake towers, which would have greatly damaged its ability to produce power. A few other small incidents occurred, but they didn't impose a serious threat to the dam's integrity. They built 4 pillboxes camouflaged in the rocks that were armed with machine guns around the clock in case the dam was ever threatened. 3 out of the 4 were dismantled after the war, but one still remains today and has been stabilized to preserve its integrity. You can just see it at the top of the rocks. The nearby city of Henderson depended on at least 1/4 of the power it produced to operate the magnesium plants during the war. The magnesium was crucial in building airplanes and incendiary devices used during the war. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941, security amped up their efforts to keep the dam protected and no longer allowed private vehicles to cross the top of the dam without a military escort. This would remain in effect until the war ended. Structures like these would likely never be constructed today due to the rising material and labor cost, as well as laws put in place to better protect workers. I'm not saying that this didn't need to happen, but I'm more in awe of the work and craftsmanship that went into these structures in a time when there was a huge lack in technology. Without much prior knowledge, cell phones, or the internet, people were able to design and build some really impressive and necessary things for us to thrive in these times. The Hoover Dam was created to control water and provide irrigation to land that would otherwise been almost impossible to inhabit until much later on. It also provided power in times when infrastructure and know-how prevented the ability to stretch much beyond 80 miles of the source of the electricity being made. The fact that the Hoover Dam still stands today says a lot about those who planned and worked on its construction, as well as the efforts to protect it during World War II. We took an Uber from our Airbnb to Vegas. After looking at parking cost and not sure how valet parking would work on the motorcycles, we felt this was our best choice. It was about the same price as parking anyway, and was a lot less hassle. A couple of firsts for us. We had never taken an Uber, nor had we been to Vegas before. Our first driver into Vegas dropped us off right beside MGM. Our plan was to walk all the way to Fremont Street, a little over 5 miles walking straight through. We unfortunately only made it about the 3-mile mark. We did not pack the right footwear to make this kind of walk. Plus, we crossed the road several times and explored a few of the buildings and casinos, so I know we had put in a lot more distance than if we had just walked straight through. With our 1,000-mile ride yesterday, and then all the walking today, we came up a little short of this goal. Vegas is definitely something to go see. I've heard some bad things about the crowds and the cost of everything, but honestly, we enjoyed our time there. Even the weather was nice. The temperature was comfortable with a slight breeze. We are not used to the hot, dry air though. When we did get a little bit hungry, we found a small Greek food vendor and shared a lamb and beef gyro. Food prices are high here, but if everything was as good as that gyro was, then I can't be too upset. We really didn't spend much money here at all. We did stop in almost every CVS or Walgreens we came to and bought drinks as we walked. With the long day yesterday and all the walking today and this dry desert air, staying hydrated was proving to be rather difficult. Inside Planet Hollywood, we came across a few of Criss Angel's motorcycles on display. This first one is the MF3 Chopper, which was seen in Season 3 of Mind Freak. Followed by the MF2 Chopper, which was in Season 2. Besides his magic tricks and shows, which he is most famous for, he is also an avid motorcycle enthusiast and has several custom bikes. Each of these bikes is custom made with a specific name to fit its personality or specialty. This next one is the Military Tribute Bike. It is dedicated to the brave men and women of past, present, and future who have selflessly served and protected the nation. This is the MF4 chopper. And this last one is dedicated to the children who continuously battle life-threatening diseases and is aptly named the Believe Charity Motorcycle. Our favorite part along the Vegas Strip was the water show at the Bellagio fountains. I cannot include the music due to copyright, but just imagine these fountains dancing to Uptown Funk, and you'll get the idea. One of the few free attractions in Vegas, this is an 8.5-acre man-made lake in front of the Bellagio Resort. It uses over 1,000 water nozzles and more than 4,000 lights for its show. At its peak, the fountain spray is high as 460 feet above the water's surface. It was first opened in 1998 and is one of the most expensive fountains in the world. The music varies from each show, which usually occurs every half hour. This show is even more spectacular after dark, but we didn't get to see it with all the lights this time. We don't feel like we spent enough time here and want to come back sometime. There is so much to see and explore. We didn't go to any of the shows because we really didn't see anything that interested us enough to pay the prices, and again, time was not being very forgiving. After it started getting dark, we took a bus over to Fremont Street. After arriving at Fremont, I wish we would have started here instead of the Strip. The lights and all the side performers were really a neat sight. This whole area was another highlight of Las Vegas in my mind. When we go back, I want to ride the zip line here. The longest line is 11 stories high and about 5 blocks long, stretching the length of Fremont. It looks like a lot of fun, but it was getting late and we were ready to get back to our room. When we were done here on Fremont, we called another Uber to take us back. Vegas was an absolutely amazing experience. Really, this whole day was seeing Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. Tomorrow we are off to somewhere new. In the next video, we drive the motorcycles down the Las Vegas Strip on our way out. To add another state to our list, we then drive into Needles, California for a quick stop to buy a state shot glass for my collection. Then connect back to I-40 into Arizona. We stop in Seligman, the birthplace of Route 66, before finding a camping spot on the old Mother Road that has all that old Route 66 nostalgia and charm. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you wouldn't mind, please give us a like or a comment. It really helps out this channel. Thanks for watching. The biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams. Oprah Winfrey.